I said two things. I said that if you aren't telling me, it says something about the way that you feel about me and like how the level of trust that you place in me.
There it is.
But once you do tell me, now I'm questioning you because I'm like, how can you withhold something from me for that long? And your ability to be able to lie by omission is strong. I don't like that.
Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast with your favorite hosts, Brandon and Ciandra. We are back with episode 117. 117. Yes, indeed. It's been 17. So, it's good to be back. You know what I'm saying? We've been breaks, start stopping, sick,
couldn't breathe a little bit.
Yeah, then her, then me, kind of. I got back, life. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Y'all know what time. Y'all know what time it is. It is officially spring now, though. I guess the weather may not necessarily. It's been that.
That's so crazy. We need to move spring dates because it don't be spring weather.
It's because temperature changing. Climate change. There we go. Not temperature change. Climate change. Yeah. Episode 117. Wow. So if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Love me. Want some more of me.
So yeah. What she said. How are you feeling, babe?
How you look at me like that sometimes.
I don't sometimes because it's just like what's going on right now?
I don't know. I'm just being weird.
That's okay. I like that. I like weird you. I like that you can be weird. Sometimes it's like, chill out. But a lot of times you're like, oh, that's so adorable. So cute. Yeah, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good. I feel, for us right now, it's Saturday afternoon, and it already feels like the weekend is like about to be over, halfway over. But other than that, it's good. You know, things are good. Had a good little meal, late breakfast. Chilling.
I had a thought, but I'll save it.
Oh, you had a thought? What's the thought?
My thought was your reaction to the weekend time passing. Is it because is there a distinction for you in your mind between the weekend and the weekday? Do they feel different?
Yeah, it feels different because like the weekend, I don't have anything that I know I have to do. Like there's no client I gotta meet with. There's nothing on my schedule that like I have to do. So it's like it feels like true free time to do what you want, even though the weekend is usually packed with things we have to do, like shopping, like groceries and running particularly any errands. But I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I can do that during the week as well. What about you?
What about me?
Like, is there a difference for you? Like the same question you just asked me?
Oh. Yes-ish. There's a little bit more wiggle room in the schedule. But I don't know. I really do feel like working from home, the weekends and the weekdays are starting to bleed more and more over time because you look forward to being able to relax at home on the weekends. And I don't know. I just feel like we spend a lot of time, or I feel like I spend a lot of time in here. So there isn't as much of a distinction for me, the weekends and the weekdays. How I'm spending my time is different, but the location where I'm spending my time is not too much different. So I don't have that like, oh my gosh, the weekend's flying by. It feels like, you know how in the peak pandemic, it was like, what is time?
Yeah.
It's all just
was it last week or was it last year?
Yeah. Was it 2 days ago or 2 months ago? I kind of feel like that right now. And maybe it was exacerbated by the fact that I was sick and I was like,
you really couldn't go nowhere.
Yeah, like I really couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, not leaving the house. Oh, I can see that. I can see how staying and how you work here and you live here and stuff like that. So like, I can see how time can feel like it's blurring, can blur in that way for you. So I definitely get that. location is important.
Mm-hmm. What are we talking about today?
Today we had a few topics, we can get into. I think the one that comes to mind for me, I think it was it last weekend that we was talking about. We was watching, or not. Yeah, you're right. Damn, it does feel like it could have been last week. It could have been like 2 days ago. Well, yeah, were we listening to? Was it so shameless?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them. And it was the topic of, what was the topic?
You had a couple, so I don't know which one.
Yeah, okay. I think it was the one with the
wife thing.
No, the bisexual thing.
Oh, okay.
Like bisexual.
Oh, yeah, that was this week.
Yeah. It was this week.
That was this week. I mean, it was an older episode of them, but we listened to it this week.
Okay, I was probably on the way to Wednesday, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a topic of if you've had a same-sex experience in the past, whether that be a sexual experience or like an actual relationship, are you obligated to disclose that information in your current relationship? If so, when would be appropriate, and if it's not appropriate, why or why not, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a pretty interesting topic. I think both sides had good point from what I recall. But I just wanted to get your take on it. We talked about it on while we were listening to it, but let's run it back.
My take on it was that, yes, you should disclose. And there are a couple of different appropriate contexts to disclose. Early on in most relationships, I feel like you have a conversation about sex, sexual history, sexual preferences, sexual fantasies, things like that. It's a part of getting to know a person. And so I would expect you to include that information in that conversation at that point when we're having it. And definitely before we made any decisions about commitments to each other, especially if that's something that you are withholding because you're not sure how I will take it, right? Like, I think that was a big part of the conversation on the podcast of like, well, you don't know how people are going to take it and how they're going to weaponize. And then that is even more important for you to disclose. That way you have an opportunity to see my character if you're concerned about that. And then you can make an appropriate decision about whether or not to move forward with me. I think that I understand I can empathize with the person having the information and being cautious about who you share that with. But I also think that that's while with respect to being cautious, you also kind of have an upper hand in some regards. Like, if that's important to you, if someone being open and accepting and understanding of sexuality being a spectrum is important to you, why wouldn't you want to know that about that person early on instead of investing additional time and then revealing it later only to be disappointed or discouraged when you find out that that person isn't accepting, and then you have to take back all that initial investment, which you can't get back. You can never get back your time. So you can't get back the investment in time, but you can in that relationship. And ending the relationship on that note only serves to further make you cautious, right? Like, now you're like, dang, I really thought I knew somebody. We got 8 months into it. I told her this or I told him this, and then our relationship ended. I feel like that only serves to reinforce the idea that you initially had that I can't tell people things. So yeah, I'd say just do it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. And I gave you a perfect context in which to share it. Like, we're going to have a conversation about sex. Or at least you should. I would encourage you to have a conversation about sex before you have sex if the opportunity presents itself. And in that conversation, you can say, you know what? Actually, one time I had sex with a woman, or one time I had sex with a man. I did. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Did you have sex with a man one time?
Yep.
Before me? Dang. You for the streets.
I know.
You for the streets. You for the streets.
Can we still get married?
I'll think about it.
If we were on one of those podcasts where the men say wild things, stop drinking water. Right. Y'all don't need to drink water. That's
why you breathe through your nose.
Yeah.
Why you breathe through your nose? That's a sign that's how you know they've been out here. They breathing through their nose. How you think she learned how to do that? Because she has something in her mouth.
That's wild.
Yeah. But you know, I think there's some truth to what you're saying about I think there's some truth to what you're saying about the, you know, being able to disclose that, you know, to your partner. That being said, I feel like as a man, black man at that I, you know, I gotta stay, and I think they definitely stated it, you know, during the episode, that men and black men specifically are judged at I don't even know the right, if you would consider a higher standard or a lower standard when it comes to their sexual experiences, especially, you know, so it's like, I think the example they use is you could have built 1,000 phenomenal bridges, but then you suck one dick, you're forever known as a dick sucker. Everything that you've done before that is wiped away, or anything you do after that is wiped away. So I think that is true for black men, especially when it comes to like sexuality, and especially when it comes to like same sex sexuality. So if you had like a sexual experience with a man and you bring that up, I would say a good 7 to 8 out of 10 times is going to be an issue with a woman. Probably most likely it's going to be some kind of, may not be like the thing that's going to break y'all up, but it's going to be something behind it. And I think that's understood with like a lot of men. So like if that is their experience, they not to say that that's an excuse not to ever say anything, but maybe it's not something that they come out the gate kind of like, hey, I just want to let you know that like one time or at some point in my past, I did have a sexual encounter, or maybe a whole sexual experience. Well, I guess it's easier to not open up with this, like if you had like a sexual encounter or experience, as opposed to I had boyfriends type stuff. Like if you had a whole relationship with somebody of the same sex, that's something that you necessarily can't hide. That's like a lifestyle for you. That's like a lifestyle for you. If you're dating someone, that's like that's who you're choosing to date. That's like a lifestyle thing. So I could see how that be more important or be more pertinent to your history when it comes to like dating and those experiences, as opposed to like, oh, I experimented one time, I had an experience or two. That may not necessarily be something that a guy is looking at like, okay, this is something I need to come out the gate, kind of like disclosing to you. Like, it should definitely come out. And I'm not saying it should come out like the day before you get married, or even a week before, or like 6 months after, but it should come out in a natural, it's not something like, oh, let me just volunteer this to you. But like, if we were having a conversation about, hey, what do you like? What have you done in the past? What is something like then that'd be an appropriate time for you to bring that up. Hopefully by the time you're having that conversation, you will have a better feel for this person and understand that like, okay, she or he would be open to that information. They're not going to like take it the wrong way. They're not giving homophobic vibes or what have you. Because usually, I ain't gonna say usually because I can't call it. I don't know.
People can surprise you,
but some people, people can surprise you. You're right. People can surprise you, and then sometimes they kind of wear that on their sleeve. You'll know relatively soon how they feel about that community or that type of behavior.
I think to one of the things that you said earlier of it being specific to black men, I don't know if I think that is specific to black men. I think it's probably specific to men in general.
It could be.
But just like any other identity that you have, it's like, okay, I would assume that black men feel like it's specific to them in their dealings with black women, right? Like, because you're typically engaging with black women, but we don't know what's happening on other sides. Yeah. And I also think that like, it's the same thing. It's not the same thing, but it's like whatever you visibly wear is how other people identify you. When people talk about me, I'm sure that when people talk about me and they're like, oh yeah, Ciandra, I'm sure they say include that I'm black and they include that I'm a woman. And so I think that it's the same thing, that if you're a gay man, like a part of that, you being outwardly and openly expressing that is a part of how people will learn to describe you or like categorize you. And so I think that that's where that's where anybody who has had gay experiences, outwardly gay experiences, is like, that's how you're categorized. Because for most people, that's outside of what is considered normative. Normative is heteronormative society, right? We're thinking like, okay, if you're not that, I'm going to describe you by the thing that is different from what I consider to be normal. And so,
because that differentiates this Daniel from that Daniel, so to speak. And my apologies to any Daniels who are listening who feel offended by that, but it's the first name that popped up in my head.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. It's like, that's the way that we differentiate.
Like short Daniel or tall Daniel. I'm talking about Daniel. Which Daniel you talking about? The 6'7" Daniel. Oh, okay. Well, you know who that one is.
Yes. And I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I'm not saying that as as an excuse or as a reason that I agree with, but it is something that I recognize that in trying to describe someone, that would be a way to describe someone. So yes, there are two architects who have similar careers, similar resumes, but one of them is a homosexual. I'm sure that it's going to be like, no, the gay architect is going to be a part of the way that somebody describes.
As opposed to like, no, the one that built the Golden Gate Bridge instead of like the one that built the one in New York. I don't know. Name another great bridge. Probably. That's true. Not necessarily good, but accurate in how things go. But to bring back what you're saying about that experience being kind of global to the male experience. I guess it could be true, but I'm just thinking of just like the amount of scrutiny that I feel like the sexuality of Black men are placed under. I don't think anybody else gets that same amount of scrutiny. Like white guys, like we know when you think white guys and frats, what pops into your head? Like when it comes to like pledging and that whole process.
Oh yeah, like spanking and stuff
like that. and like this the quote unquote like hazing. Homoerotic hazing that goes along with it. I'm quite sure a lot of those dudes grew up to be stand-up citizens who were powerful people, and none of that will ever be brought up in their history ever. Not even by the woman at all, but like a Black dude could say like, yeah, I kissed a guy back when I was like 15. And then suddenly, like, that is a thing. I've heard Black women come out their mouth and say, like, if they had any kind of sexual contact with a Black man, I can't even look at them the same. I can't even date them. I've never heard that from a white woman. Yeah. So I'm just, but it could be true. You know what I'm saying? Because we're not in their community. Maybe they're not going to say that to me, but they'll say that amongst their white brethren and such like that. So I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
White brethren is crazy.
It just gives like racism and stuff like that, but that's not what I meant. Amongst their cohort, I guess. But I think that the amount of heavy scrutiny that Black men are placed under cannot be overlooked because it is a thing. And like, Black men are not allowed to question or experiment sexually at all, not even a little bit. You have to come out the womb knowing what it is that you want and have pursued it doggedly without question, without stopping, without glancing in any other way, without stopping to think in any other way, forever, and never slip once for you to be. And even if that is true, if you wear pink, it's in question. If you happen to get out of a car in a way that people find a little questionable, you're questionable. Remember how they did Shannon Sharpe?
I do remember how they did.
And the man's skeletal structure is banged up. That's why he so I think that it can't be understated that for, I guess, a Black man who has experimented or has had that experience, that with that history, they would be a little hesitant to lead with that, because like you say, you can be surprised. There's a lot of women who's like, yeah, I'm for it. I don't have no problem with a man having homosexual experiences or being in relationships until it's their man.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair, babe.
Yeah.
There definitely is there is almost an idea that there's one way to be a man as a Black man.
Yeah.
Right. And like, if you fall outside of that in any small margin of error, if you take any step towards the line
mm-hmm.
of we don't think this is manly, then your manhood is called into question,
right.
and your sexuality, mm-hmm. which they're two different things. That's the other thing that people need to recognize, that
and your sexuality is tied to who you are as a person.
Yeah,
as a man.
Yeah.
So it's like so if you're questionable and you're like, oh, you might be gay, that means you ain't a shit person
mm-hmm.
no more. You're not. You're brought down from like human. I'll give you just basic respect to like, which and then now that I said that about the men, now we bring it over to the women. Women allowed to experiment. It's kind of expected that at least at this point, I feel like most people are kind of like, if a woman says like, yeah, I dated a woman or I had sex with a woman before, most people are like, okay, cool. I mean, makes sense. Roll of the die. Odds are that's going to be no hard feelings. Maybe and the man will be like, oh, that means the opportunity, the possibility of some girl on girl, some threesome action might happen. But I wonder why that's not true for women. So it's like if a man's like, yeah, I didn't had experiences with a guy or I don't have a problem having sex with men. I like I love you. I'm a love woman, but I've had experiences. How come the thought for a woman's like, oh shit, say you might, it might. I mean, there's room for a threesome, 2 dudes.
Because I think that brings up another.
Oh.
I don't know what happened. I think that brings up another double standard, right? If a threesome with 2 men and a woman, most people don't consider that a threesome. Most people consider that a train. And so, yeah. I'm serious. Yeah, and true. So if that's your first thought as a woman, you are, or even if that's your first thought as a woman verbalizing it, you fear the backlash from that man of like, see, nah, I don't get down like that. I'm not trying to do anything with another man in the room. Even if I think that just would be the first thought that will come to your head of like, I can't say that out loud. Like, now what's he going to think of me? How is that going to work? I don't think that I think that's why that isn't the first thought that comes to a woman's head. I feel
that's so maybe guys need to think that too, because the guys think like, oh yeah, we get threesomes on the table, but just as they think that, they should also think that like, okay, just because she like women don't mean she want to do anything with you with another woman.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's like the hope and like that they have in the mind. But I'm just wondering like, is that also true for a woman if like your man told you that they had a homosexual experience or they are bisexual or what have you? Like, do secretly in your mind do you think like, okay, man, that's on the table, we might be able to do something with this, but you may not necessarily verbalize it, but it's like it's a hope. Like, okay, the threesome can be 2 girls and a dude with him, and then the threesome can also be 2 dudes and her. Like, you know what I'm saying? You both can live a fantasy out here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not wrong. I definitely think that there are some people who would see that as a benefit and be like, yes, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But that being said, that's real. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We finna have fun out here. You know what I'm saying? Every weekend we doubling our prospects, so to speak. But
every weekend?
Technically every weekend. That doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna do it, but if you decided, every weekend we finna do something, y'all can you got a smorgasbord of options. You're not limited. But to bring it back to the disclosure part, I think we both do agree that if you've had, like, especially if you've had whole relationships, definitely got to bring, you should definitely speak about that. But if you had like experiences or encounters or what have you, I think that's something that like should be disclosed.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely don't think it should be something that should be held in pocket for like X amount of time. You know what I'm saying? So like, especially if you didn't have conversations where it would have been appropriate to bring it up after a sufficient amount of time in your mind, like after a point where you're like, okay, I know this person, I'm comfortable with this person, and you end up having like a sex conversation or what have you, and that comes up, like I think it'd be appropriate to bring it up. I think it would really suck if like now, like where we are now, and then we having a conversation, and then you like, oh yeah, by the way, I've had sex with a woman, or I've had that kind of experience. I'm like, why you ain't tell me that? Like, we've definitely had sex conversations before at many different parts through our relationship. That means you're hiding something from. Why are you hiding it? Who are you? Do I even know you anymore?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the later you wait, the more that person has space to call into question your trust of them or your ability to withhold secrets, and then question their ability to be able to trust you for you to be able to keep things from them. So I feel like, again, the sooner the better. Just rip that Band-Aid off.
That's true. Get it out the way now before you got
deal. Yeah, and the bigger deal you make, the longer you wait, the more you make it seem like it's something that is,
like it's a big deal. So you waited 3 years to say this now. Why you? It must have been something crazy, something wild, or something. I don't know.
Excuse me.
Hey, on something like you about to go into a website, you might see something.
Yep.
But
I hate to break it to you this way, but I've been on.
Right? Hey, I just say, hey, you talking about sex. I just say, I just got one request from you. I just please don't ever. You can watch porn with it, just don't go on Pornhub. That's all. Why not? That's all. That's
banned in Texas anyway, so
right.
That's fine.
Yeah, you can't watch it here in Texas anymore. Pornhub got shut down. And one last thing, I think you mentioned something. I think I remember you saying something about like if you don't say nothing, it's like it says more about when you say the person who's not saying nothing, or was it says more about the person who's not saying nothing as opposed to what it says about the person who you're not telling, or was it the other way around? Can't remember.
I said two things. I said that if you aren't telling me, it says something about the way that you feel about me and like how the level of trust that you place in me.
There it is.
But once you do tell me, now I'm questioning you because I'm like, how can you withhold something from me for that long? And your ability to be able to lie by omission is strong. I don't like that. What were you gonna add?
No, that's it. No,
okay,
that was it. That was it.
Okay, hit that transition.
All right, we're going to do
Herbo.
We haven't done a transition in a minute.
I don't know if the person on that DJ tag, his name is Herbo or Turbo. Turn me up, Turbo.
I can't.
Some of these DJ tags, I can't figure out what your actual name is. Some of these names
Tangent.
Tangent. Sorry. Some of these names is Jaquavius, and you got somebody screaming it real loud, and I'm trying to pick it up.
I can't hear what they be saying. I can't like imagine. I can't think of the tag that you're talking about, like Herbo or Turbo, so I can't give it to you. So I don't know what you're talking at this point, unfortunately.
It's okay.
It's probably Herbo.
I hope
it could be Turbo, but maybe it's both.
Maybe. Okay.
What are we getting into now?
We got a Reddit.
You got a Reddit?
Yep.
What is it?
Am I wrong?
Okay. All right. You're bringing this to us? Okay. I haven't heard this one yet.
Okay.
Let's get ready mentally. Go ahead.
I, 37-year-old female, want to know if I was the asshole to back out of a quote-unquote girls trip because I didn't want to cheat on my 56 male husband. My girlfriend and I met in a local mommy group and agreed to do play dates with our kids. I was a stay-at-home mom, and connecting with other moms was my only way of having adult interaction with kids in tow. Let's call her Shay. Shay and I got close, and she had other female friends that she wanted to introduce me to. I was excited to be welcomed into this friend group, and we were going to celebrate by going on a girls trip. I was 100% down for it until I found out that they wanted to do an adults only, not safe for work cruise. They're all single, and we're excited to do this cruise to hook up with guys on the cruise and have some fun. The thing is, I'm married. We've been together 14 years, and because the nature of the trip changed from just us girls to sexual exploration with other adults, I figured that it was a given that my husband is automatically invited. I mean, I'm married, so fidelity is expected. In the group conversation, I mentioned that I would like to bring my husband, and they grew silent. And then my friend Shay gave me a dirty look and says, "Wow." And I asked, "What's wrong?" She didn't say anything, and everyone else was just uncomfortably silent. I asked, "Is there a problem with my husband coming?" Shay said, "Yeah, it's a girls only kind of thing. I didn't think you would be that kind of friend." Shay says that there's going to be men there on the trip. Another friend spoke up and said that there's plenty of men to choose from, so you don't have to be alone. And then I realized that they knew I was married and didn't care. They're expecting me to cheat on my husband. The way they explained it is, according to them, they're uncomfortable with my husband being there, and they would feel much better if I had sex with strangers instead. They didn't say it's better for me to have sex with strangers, but it's implied. Because they are planning on meeting guys and having some freaky fun on this cruise, they will be uncomfortable doing that with my husband around. I don't understand how it's just a girls trip if they're going to go there to pick out men to have sex with. It's not going to be just us girls if we're going to be partnering up with men, but they're uncomfortable with my husband being there. And the solution to them being happy is if he didn't come and if I didn't want to be lonely, to either be there and have sex with guys while I'm on the trip or just be there as a third wheel while they're off having sex with random guys. They don't seem to understand that I'm not comfortable with sleeping with someone that's not my husband. They seem almost confused by why I would take fidelity so seriously.
Okay, there's a few things to unpack here. First of all, the beginning, you said she's married, 37? Mm-hmm. Her husband is what?
56.
Okay, 20-year age difference. Okay, mm-hmm. But they've been together 14 years? Mm-hmm. So that would put her, what, like 19? Something like that?
No.
37 minus 14?
Yes,
What's
it's
that?
23.
So it's 23. Ooh, my math is horrible. Ooh, I need to cut that. Oh, my God. That was horrible. I was like, wait, 37, it would have been 14? I feel like that meme with the white lady just like looking and like all the numbers going around. Okay, so, but, okay, big age difference, but whatever. First of all, okay, the first thought to me is they are not your friend. Off top, those are not your friend. Like you met strangers today. These people are plotting on your destruction. And the thing is, I'm not even sure they're doing it intentionally. In the sense of like, oh yeah, we want her to like blow up her marriage and then be single. I don't even think they're thinking that deeply. They're just like, just cheat on your man. But yeah, those not your friends. And yeah, so she's asking, is she the asshole?
She's saying, is she wrong? Because ultimately what ended up happening is that her friend Shay doesn't answer her calls or texts, and now her kids are missing this other lady's kids because they were all friends.
Okay. Yeah, I think they did you a favor, and I think they did your kids a favor too, because your kids would be hanging around their kids who are picking up whatever morals and standards of behavior that they have, which apparently does not include fidelity.
Oh, I didn't read this last part. Maybe I should read this part. She was so offended by my automated invite of my husband. Maybe I was wrong not to ask first before planning for him to come. Was I wrong to assume this was a given since I am married and not single? I haven't been single in a time, and is this the norm? Would you consider a plan to sleep with random people on a girls trip? Her ending our friendship makes me doubt I handled it well. Am I crazy, or is this expectation unreasonable?
Can I see this? First of all, she wrote entirely too much. She wrote entirely too much. This, and she didn't even include the TLDR part, which it should have been. Like, this could have been like 3 paragraphs at most. But
what were you looking for?
Nothing. I was just trying to see how long it was.
Oh, very long.
Yeah. So
I forgot to read that last blurb though.
Yeah, that blurb about was it wrong for her to not say anything? Yeah, I think that part for her was wrong. If they say girls trip, then like that's implied. Like in girls trip, boys trip, it's implied that it is what's on the 10. So you definitely should have ran it by them first. But with all that other information, you know, that goes along with it is very suspect. Like that's really, if they was your friends, they would not have invited you on that trip. They would have created another trip where it was just like a literal girls trip where y'all going out to have fun, and then they would have had like another like girls trip with it, where they go out and go have single fun, and then they could have told you like, hey, like we're gonna have to do another trip because we're going out here, we're finna do X, Y, and Z. Like you can come if you want to, and you can bring your husband or what have you, and y'all can do your own thing while we off doing our own thing. Or they can just be like, we just finna go over here and do this, and then we'll come back and we can do something else, you know, together. And I would hope, you know, she would understand, considering we're going on a not safe for work singles trip cruise where it's going to be nothing but single people. So like, I don't even think you will want to be there. But neither one of y'all will want to be there. I'm just saying. I don't think she was wrong for not wanting to cheat on her husband. I kind of, what was the purpose of this?
Am I wrong?
Am I wrong? It's not even like a hard question to answer, in my opinion.
I think for her, well, people were on her ass in the
her ass, the person who's writing.
Yeah, but I think for her, it was a question of the assumption of like being able to automatically invite your partner, and I think that is that's pretty shared amongst married people. I feel like usually, I don't know. I feel two ways about it. If I'm going someplace and somebody invites me and that person also knows Brandon, I just assume that it's an invite for both of us. Unless something is specifically said that like, oh no, we're doing girls only, or oh, we're only doing this, group of people. I'm going to say we'll be there. That lets you know I'm already off top. I'm bringing Brandon. So
bring who?
Brandon.
Oh, okay.
What did I say? Bandon?
Yeah. Oh. I was like, who?
Bandon. Big bands. Bando. Brando. Anyway, you should assume off top that I'm going to bring Brandon unless it's otherwise stated. If it's an open invitation and like it's a group of people, I would assume that it's fine. But I think in this situation, like it's a girls trip. So yes, your husband is not automatically invited. And once the situation changed, then it's up to you to make a decision of whether or not it's worth it for you to go. You know what I'm saying? It's not on them to accommodate you and make space for your husband to be a part of this girls trip. It's on you to make a decision about whether or not it's worth it for you to go. And that's a conversation you can have with your husband. You can be like, babe, like, this is what it's looking like. I don't know if it's a good idea. I mean, I want to spend time with these girls. I want to, be able to develop a better friendship with them. But I don't think I don't even know if that's going to be possible on this cruise. So maybe it's not the best idea for me to go. Like, I'm not going to be able to go on this girls trip. But I still want time, or like I still would like to be able to have some time to myself. Let's talk about what that looks like.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. And then the other part that she is questioning is like, is this normal? Like, I haven't had friends in a while, or like I've been a stay-at-home mom. I don't have very many single friends. Now that I'm making some friends, is it normal that they would just assume that I would cheat on my husband? And I feel like, no, that's not normal.
I don't know.
What you mean?
I don't know if that's normal or not. Like, to her point, like, I don't know what's going on out here in these friend groups, or groups that are like becoming newly acquainted in adulthood, like what the expectation of it, if that's kind of the expectation or not, or if it's kind of like, hey, we're just gonna give you the option, and if you take it, it's kind of on you type shit. I don't know, but I believe for me and mine, and apparently you and yours, that's not normal. Like, you wouldn't consider that normal if you were put in that position. Like, yo, what's good? Like, this is kind of unusual. Yeah, and hearing you say, like, that's a conversation you would have with your with your husband about, if going on a trip makes sense. For me, I would be like, no, it doesn't make sense, and also I don't trust none of them hoes. Like, I don't bring them around here. Like, I don't want to. I don't want to be in. I don't want to be in communication with them. I don't want to do nothing with them. I do not trust these.
These hoes can't even breathe my air.
I don't trust these. I do not trust these people. Like, they are of the bad. They the bad crowd. They the if you're going to, the ones who are going to try to get you to jump off a bridge on some stupid shit. Yeah,
not
like,
what your mama said.
Nah.
If your friend jump off a bridge, you just going to jump off behind them.
And I was like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't need. I'm like, every time you be like, I'm gonna go hang out, I'm like, who? Her?
Be home by 10. Tee-hee-hee-hee.
Yeah, because I feel like those are the type of people who will put you in a bad situation. Like, they the type of people who will be like, they would know that you like your current life, how it is, and you married, and so they're like, let's go on this girls trip. You know what I'm saying? Let's go on the girls trip. You think everything's sweet. You get there and it's not safe for work, and it's like everybody here just trying to get D down. They licking you up, trying to put you in, got you in compromising positions. Not in the sense of like your life is in danger, but just like we're moving as if we're single, and we're pulling you into it, knowing that like, this is not a place that you need to be, that you should be in, and we're doing that even though we know that you don't want to be here, and we ain't tell you, and we ambush you with this shit, and now I'm here looking crazy. And I don't imagine that would be, irregardless, that would be a trip that you would have she would have enjoyed. I know you wouldn't have enjoyed, but she probably would not have enjoyed that if she decided, I'm just going to go. I'm just going to, I'm just going to have as much fun as I can. Stay not cheating, but just enjoy my time. She would not have enjoyed that time because all her friends would have been off doing what they doing, and it would have been a lot of solo time for her. It would have been a lot of time for her trying to push people off for her, because they there for the same reason. So that wouldn't have been. I don't think that would have been a good look at all. But yeah, I think for me as a guy, if like the boys was like, hey, we going on a trip, what I'm saying, let's plan a trip, let's go. All right, cool, let's do it. I'm assuming that you can come because it was not stated that it was like a guy trip. So if you're like, hey, we need a new guy trip, and we're trying to plan the guy trip. All right, boom, I already know what time it is when it comes. Like, okay, this is just gonna be me and the boys. We finna go do X, Y, and Z. And if it's something I feel like I want to bring you on, I'd be like, yo, can I bring Siandra for X, Y, and Z portion of the trip? I will have to find a way where, like, if I'm bringing you, I have to bring you in a way where it's not going to interfere with the plans and activities that we would have had if you weren't there. You feel me? So it's like, hey, I'm bringing her through. She only gonna be here for like this portion of the trip, and then like during this part, after we do our thing, I'm gonna go off, and then when she leave, I'm back with y'all type shit. Yeah, I think when it comes to friends, and especially when you got friends who are in relationships or whatever status, and people who are not in relationships, I think it's normal. I think it should be normal and regular for adjustments to be made. I know what your life is right now. You know what I mean? So like, for example, if I knew like one of my boys is down bad financially, I'm not going to be hitting them up every time like, yo, let's go do some shit that's going to cost money. You feel me? And like expecting them to pay. Either if I want you to be there, I'm gonna cover you because I know what type of time is on, or I'm just going to give you the option without the expectation. I'm gonna give you the invite, but I'm not expecting you to jump on because I know where you're at right now. Same thing, like you're in a relationship. All right, well, we finna do this trip, and I'm single, so I'm gonna be moving single. I'm gonna give you the invite, but this is the type of time we're gonna be on. It's your choice to do it, and also, well, once you're there, I'm gonna try to like not include you in like debauchery. Yeah, I would hope that would be reciprocated on my boys. I know it would be, and I would hope that would be true for women in their besties or friends. Clearly this one isn't what you just stated. That is not the case, but in general, I would hope friend groups will be on that type of time.
I agree. I mean, the last question that she had is like, going on a trip to sleep with random people still considered a girl's trip? And I would say for some women, yes. Yeah. Like, I think that everybody has a different version of what fun is for them and what they're looking for on a vacation. And you know that, like, there's different personality groups in your friend group naturally. And there's some people who are like, vacation to me is relaxing. Vacation to me is activities. Vacation to me is getting drunk and partying. Like, everybody has their different flavor for what makes a vacation truly fun and enjoyable for them. And so, yes, this is a version of a girl's trip, but it isn't a version of a girl's trip that works well for you and your lifestyle, like you're saying. And so your friends who know you, who share the same values as you, who care about your marriage, will make adjustments either in inviting you to specific types of girls trips or making adjustments and accommodations to allow for you to still be able to enjoy without putting you in a compromising position.
Right.
And that's what makes a difference as you're trying to make decisions and making new friends as an adult, is like that person being in a similar life stage to you and being understanding of what that life stage is like. I think I would say, as we've been here and we've been thinking about, or maybe I more so than you have been thinking about making friends and what that looks like, I think just the life stage that a lot of us are in this late 20s, early 30s is like work. Like there's a lot of emphasis, on being able to acquire means to be able to get to some larger goal in the future. And that's not to say you can't have both. Like you can't have friendships and be working towards something. But I think the space and the time that you need to be able to cultivate a friendship is filled with work or other things, or being tired and like other things that you have to prioritize to take care of yourself and feel well-rounded. Just eating up your time.
What does the time go? You have less and less time to focus on your own personal growth or like desires and and nurturing personal relationships, because a lot of it is focused on like I gotta do the things that I require for me to like live.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Ghetto.
Right? It is ghetto. So yeah, that's
all we got.
Yeah, you got anything else? Good?
Nope.
All right, I think that's a good
Give me
place.
5 on the black hand side.
Yeah, I feel we back. You know what I'm saying? We actually got the video component this time. So feel free to, to check that out when that drops, which should be, a couple of days from when you're listening to this, if it's before Wednesday. So yeah, we gonna keep this going. And we appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast. Episode 117. Go ahead, like and subscribe. And in case y'all wondering what happened with the series about the engagement and going about that, I think we're going to put that on hold for right now and let us get past that stage, so then we can come back and give y'all like, okay, this is
our reflections.
Give y'all our reflections, because talking to y'all while we're in the midst of it, it's high key stressful. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I think it'd be better for us to just come in and talk to y'all from a position of we've been there and we did that, as opposed to we're going through that. I don't think we good enough to be able to give it to you as we're going through the process, because not yet.
That's
not right
fair.
now. Yeah. So yeah, once we moved past that, you know what I'm saying, we'll give you a little tidbit updates like, hey, but we're not going in no deep depth for real. People who need to know or should know already know, and if you don't, you didn't need to know. So yeah, we love y'all. We'll see y'all next time. Y'all hope y'all have a good rest of y'all week. And I hope y'all pushing through, reaching and attaining them goals that you have set forth, during the year. Happy spring, y'all.
Happy spring.
Peace.